Morning. So today's thoughts will be on God and timing. So all in God's time is something that a lot of Christians say, in my opinion, too often. And it's also something that non-believers cynically use to detract from our faith. Sometimes we think we need God's intervention at a point in time, but it does not match his timing. Non-believers would declare, say for example, God turn this water into wine right now. He obviously doesn't answer. They idiotically declare, say prayers do not work. I think our timing is a lot more important to God than some circles of believers think. And while I agree that sometimes his timing and ours contradict, and of course he is God, his timing will trump ours in these instances. It's an age-old topic, and I'll try to give you guys my 2 cents in 6 minutes. First heading for me, putting God's timing to test. Matthew chapter 4 verse 11 says, Jesus answered him, it is also written, do not put the Lord your God to the test. And that pretty much gives you the idea of where God stands on putting his timing to the test. He is God, and he will not suffer our minor human requirements to prove something. Whether it was little me, now older me, whether it's you or your friend who doesn't believe, heck, even Dr. Dawkins, his timing can only come to fruition at our moment of genuine need. Second heading, the need for haste. So you'll go to the book of Psalms, Psalm 141, a Psalm of David. Verse 1 says, I call to you, Lord, come quickly to me. Hear me when I call to you. Psalm 22, verse 19, Psalm 38, verse 22, and Psalm 40, verse 13. It's all similar scriptures. Check them out. Sometimes we need God and we need him right now, as did many of the psalmists who were men with a genuine relationship with God, men who knew God, men who in their knowledge of God had an expectation that he would respect the timing of their needs and make haste. And it's an expectation that's immortalized in these scriptures. So by that same token, we who also understand the need for divine intervention in a timely fashion in some situations should have that same expectation of God as the psalmist did. Third heading, what Jesus taught us about God's timing. Now, John 2 starts with Jesus and his family at a wedding. We know the story very well. The wine runs out. Mary turns to Jesus to help out, which would be his first miracle. But here was his response when she originally turned to him. We take it from verse 4, John 2, verse 4. Woman, why do you involve me? Jesus replied. My hour has not yet come. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Then there are many other miracles, like Jesus healing the lepers, feeding the 5,000, healing the lame man, and I can go on at length. But in these miracles, we see that the need was immediate, and Jesus did not dilly-dally about it. Whether the need was saving someone from humiliation or healing people from lifelong bondages, Jesus met that need in the timing of those requesting it. This tells us about the nature of our God. Now, patience is a fruit of the Spirit, and sometimes the weight, it strengthens our faith and builds character in us. Sometimes God's response will not come as quickly as we think we need it. But never get bogged down by the false humility in some quarters that God's timing will never match yours. Nor should you let the notion of God's timing be your cop-out from believing in a miracle in your moment of urgent need. So we trust him and continue asking him to make haste where it is needed, just like the psalmist did. Fourth and final heading, it's never too late with God. In the book of Mark in chapter 5, verse 39, Jesus has been summoned by one of the leaders of the synagogue, Jairus, to heal his daughter who was dying. And there was a delay, and by the time Jesus got around to her, she was lifeless. And there are people wailing and mourning everywhere. So Mark 5 verse 39. He, Jesus, went in and said to them, why all this commotion and wailing? The child is not dead, but asleep. but they laughed at him. After he put them all out, he took the child's father and mother and the disciples who were with him and went in where the child was. He took her by the hand and said to her, Talitha cum, which means, little girl, I say to you, get up. Immediately, the girl stood up and began to walk around. She was 12 years old. At this, they were completely astonished. So even though sometimes we think God's timing for a need of ours is too late, based on the physical appearance of things, He is never late. And it's never too late for God to reverse a situation. And it's in these moments of miracles that we really learn to trust Him. Amen.